ready for bed at a regular time is one of the most important habits you can learn.
Who you gonna call?
Jason was my son, and today is his birthday.
Oh, Lori, scared another one away.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
We are counselors at Hackett's Quarry Summer Camp. There is a swarm of bears.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
Most people are so ungrateful to be alive, but not you.
It's showtime.
Hello. Welcome back to another fabulous, wonderful episode of the Scream Stream. Now, we are on episode 15, and episode 15 is going to be an interesting one. I'm not going to lie. Episode 15, as you can see from the title, it is called Skinamarink. Now, I'm going to do my best to delve as much as I can into this movie, because this is a very weird horror movie. I'm not going to lie, guys. This is one of those artsy horror movies. I don't really see too terribly many of these. I think the only like artsy horror movie I could maybe compare it to would be that movie Mother, which I at some point do wish to talk about that movie, because that traumatized me in such a good way that I would love to talk about that movie. But we're talking about Skinamarink right now. But looking into this, so there's really not much of a fun facts I can give you about Skinamarink. Basically, the actors are all unknown characters, unknown people, which makes sense for a little indie horror film. And the director as well, he's not really well known either. The only thing I can give him credit for is he is a famous YouTuber who has his own YouTube channel. I should have wrote down the name of it. I personally haven't checked out his channel before. It wasn't until I watched Skinamarink that I actually checked out, what was it? A little short horror story he did that was kind of similar to Skinamarink called Heck. I'm going to be honest, I didn't finish it. I started it literally 20 minutes ago, and I was getting everything set up, so I kind of want to sit down and watch it, so I can't add too much of an input to it. It does have a lot of the same camera angles and weird lighting, the weirdness of the movie, basically, because this movie's fucking weird. A lot of it's not spelled out like a generic horror movie would do. It's let's just take even old school horror movie like Poltergeist or something. It's at some point it's basically told to us what the issue is. We basically build the houses on top of the fucking gravestones. That's why we have this poltergeist. The same thing with the Changeling. We kind of get told, straight out, hey, Joseph is mad because he was killed for the greed of profit, and now he wants revenge. And at least a little bit of recognition. This, however, is not like any horror movie I've seen. A lot of things aren't spelled out, and you have to see what's not there. That's something, going back the second time rewatching it, is you have to pay attention to what we're not seeing, not what we see, because what we see is it's weird camera angles, grainy footage, we're looking at darkness, and it's playing with your mind the entire time. You're sitting there is there something in the darkness? Is there not? And I'm going to be honest, guys, at some points, I couldn't tell if there was something in the darkness or not. Again, guys, y'all have to actually watch the movie to really, really get it. Again, guys, I'll do my best to describe this shit, but it's fucking out there, man. It's fucking out there. But you can watch it on the Shudder right now, completely free. Not a bad movie, I'm going to say. Not a bad movie. It is roughly a 2-hour movie, though. So it's one of those, you either really like this movie or you really hate it. I've never found someone in between when it comes to this movie. And I can kind of get a little bit of the hatred. It's mainly because it's a slow burn of a movie. And a lot of people, when it comes to the horror movies, they don't care much for slow burns, and I can understand that. You know, you want something that's heart pounding and adrenaline rushing, not a slow sit down, let's talk about, you know, our day kind of burns. And that's basically what this is in some aspects. It's a slow burn of just feeling bad for these kids. I'm gonna be honest, feeling bad for these kids. But we have Lucas Paul, who's playing Kevin, Dyla Rose, who plays Kaylee, Ross Paul, who plays Dad, and Jamie Hill, who plays Mom. We don't really see too much from the parents. It's the kids. The kids are the star of this movie. And this is something I really, to be honest, wanted to talk about, because of the fact that, you think about it, in horror movies, we don't get a lot of children accentuated, that's, what the fuck is that word I'm looking for? Children accentuated horror, if that makes any sense, where it basically is all circled around them. And I'm not talking about, you know, the possessed child, like in the movie The Possession or something like that. You know, I'm not talking about, you know, 12, 13-year-old, maybe an 8-year-old, maybe a kid in a family or something. No, this is straight up the parents. The mom's not even technically seen. We hear her on the phone, and we see Dad for all of like 5 minutes in the beginning of the movie. After that, we don't see these parents at all. It's just these two kids. And what blows my mind is the ages of these kids. Now, I'm assuming that the sister, Kaylee, she's the little sister. So I can only presume she's roughly about 3, because we get told by Kevin himself when he's calling 911 that he's 4 years old. So I can only assume she's 3, because they're able to at least have some conversations, but they're not having full conversations like, you know, like say if you and me were stuck in a room together and we're having all this shit happen. We could sit there and go, hey, bro, that window right there, it disappeared, right? Yeah, you saw that too? Yeah, you want to get a weapon so we could, yeah, let's just fucking break some walls down. Let's see what we can do. These kids, they can't do that. They're 3 and 4 years old. They can't do that. They don't understand what's going on, and that's what actually makes this movie quite brilliant in my personal opinion, to be honest. Because of the fact that these are kids. These are like toddlers. They're toddlers who don't know what the hell is going on, and these are some fine ass acting kids. I'm gonna be honest. There were moments, several moments, where they didn't even feel like acting. They felt like kids. Like, I felt like I was invading on somebody else's house watching these two kids at several points in this movie just go through this traumatic thing. Because these were some fiery-ass acting. I'm not going to lie. They're fiery-ass acting. The kids were amazing. It was good. It was great. I loved it. But like I said, the camera angles are very, very weird. We don't have our generic camera angles, which is like the POV shots of, up front, close behind shots, the side camera angles. The typical shots you see in just any other horror, actually, just any movie in general, was not just horror, just any movie in general. And it's not like a found footage film either, where we get that kind of POV shot, but in some aspects we do. Like, it's like all over the place when it comes to this camera angles. We have like low camera angles where the camera is basically filming the floor and we're looking at somebody's feet. We have like these weird angles where we're like sitting down. It's like we'll be sitting down anyways, and we could pan up and we're looking over at the ceiling and shit. We're looking at weird corners of the windows, weird corners of the television, darkness in the hallways. Like, it's just weird fucking camera angles that I've never really seen before, and I'm not complaining too terribly much, because some of these camera angles really, really work well. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of these camera angles work. Especially you keep in mind that some of these camera angles probably, and are most likely, perspectives from the kids. And yet again, like I said, they're 3 and 4 years old, so they're short little beings. They're only like yay tall. So, of course, what they're gonna see is not exactly what we're gonna see standing up next to them, because we're taller than them. So I think the camera angles kind of add like a whimsical POV shot from what the kids could possibly be seeing. That's that's my thoughts on it, to be honest. But I really don't know, to be honest. Like, to be honest, I know I keep saying to be honest, but to be frank, I don't know what the fuck to say about this movie. Because of the fact that it's just so hard to describe. It is really so hard to describe. And yet again, guys, like I said, I will do my damnedest to describe everything I can get on the. I literally had to go scene by scene, so I can maybe help y'all kind of get a visual mindset of what this movie is. If not, seriously, go check it out on Shudder. The movie's really, really good. But besides the weird camera angles, and we have a couple of POV shots of the kids, you know, mainly the ones that stick out is like Kaylee's POV shot when she's walking upstairs. And something else I noticed about this is that whatever's in the house fucking with the kids, whatever it is, demonic entity or whatnot, it's taking away their comfort. Now, there's several theories about, you know, what the hell is going on. I've heard theories from when the kid fell in the beginning of the movie that this is all a fever dream. I've heard that this is purgatory for this kid and that he's suffering. Now, I've heard so many different things about this movie when it comes to theory-wise, but nothing concrete. But my theory is this. So throughout the movie, you know, we get a little tidbit about the parents where we find out that it's rather obvious the parents aren't together because dad ends up taking Kevin to the hospital, you know, after the fall, and he ends up calling the mom on the phone. No big deal, you know, mom could be working, mom could be somewhere else. But it's something the kids say later on about, you know, maybe dad went with mom, you know, so that kind of relies on mom's not in the house, maybe mom's not there. And then I want to say it's Kevin says to Kaylee that he doesn't want to talk about mom. So what I'm gathering for all the information I picked up, you know, reading between the lines, I'm thinking the parents are divorced or getting divorced. So this is causing turmoil on these kids. Granted, they're not quite understanding, you know, divorce. Especially, you know, again, you know, being 3 or 4 years old, you know, how do you explain that to a kid? And another reason why I say that I think they're getting a divorce is because when Kaylee goes upstairs and the thing's fucking with her, you hear the mom go, Kaylee, your father and I, and she gets cut off, we love you very much. That makes me think that was like the opening of their, now children, your father and I, we love y'all very, very much, but we don't love each other anymore, okay? We hate each other. We're getting divorced. Yeah, I don't know how it actually turned out, but I'm assuming that's probably what happened. But because of this, it's adding this turmoil to these kids. You know, they're now suddenly getting their life kind of torn up a little bit. You got to think about you had your mom and dad, everything's good and happy. Next thing you know, divorce. Everything's ruined. You don't even think about the fact that you're having 2 fucking Christmases and 2 fucking birthdays. No, you're thinking, my life is being torn upside down and being fucked the fuck up. Even to a kid. Even though they may not say that, they may not have that exact train of thought, but that is exactly what they're thinking. This is going to ruin my life. So because of that, he grew into a depression. Not like a full-on, like, adult depression, but I'm sure he got depressed to a degree that, you know, he's sad about the situation. And he's lonely, and he wants to reach out, but he doesn't know who to talk to because he doesn't know, you know, what to ask. He doesn't know what to do. Again, he's 4 years old. He doesn't know what exactly a divorce means. He doesn't know exactly what the hell's going on. But because of that kind of energy landed to this situation. And what I mean by that is, whatever this is, I'm going to assume it's a fucking demon. It's got to be a demon. It's got to be something of supernatural origin because of the fact that it was able to trap these kids in their house in darkness with no doors or windows. So clearly it's not of this earth. So it's got to be demonic or some kind of spiritual energy or some bullshit. I'm going to say demonic though. Definitely demonic. But because of this, you know, negative energy the kid was feeling, he befriended a demon, which happens a lot. It happens a lot in horror movies, especially when it comes to demonic entities and poltergeists and shit like that. You notice it's usually the kids who befriend the thing first, you know. Oh, like, remember in Poltergeist, how we thought it was so cute that, you know, she was sliding across the kitchen, you know, because she befriended the poltergeist? Yeah, it's one of those situations. But being a kid, not knowing that it's a demonic fucking entity, you know, befriends it, and then thus kicks off this whole bullshit of just this entity trying to whittle them down into nothing so it could devour them for whatever purposes that it wants, whether it wants to take over his body, whether it just wants to eat the innocence and happiness of a child. Like, who the fuck knows? Why do demons do what they do, especially when it comes to fucking children? It's always fucking children, though, because innocence. It's the innocence and the gullibility and the lack of understanding of the situation that demons love to feast on children. This is why they always come. Think about it, even in ghost formats. You know, like take Myco's Adventure, not Myco's Adventures, A Haunting or My Horror Experience or something. Oh, goddamn, what was the name of that show? It was another show I was watching, like A Haunting, but it was called something else. But, you know, a lot of them talked about when they were kids, they had an imaginary friend that turned out to be a dead fucking ghost. So that's literally my theory, is that this whole movie is just a demon being a dick to these kids. Like, as simple and as fucked up as that is, but that's some of the best horror out there, is simple fucked up shit. And when you got kids involved, you've already got into a fucked up situation. Especially when the kids are the stars of the movie, you're in a fucked up situation. But yeah, let's go ahead and try to dive into this madness. So like I said, the kids are named Kaylee and Kevin. Kevin, I'm going to assume Kevin's the oldest from how he sounds. But again, I could be wrong. Right off the gate, I'm going to tell you this. Telling you from the trailers, from when I first saw it back in the beginning of January to when I watched it originally 2 weekends ago to watching it now. This movie feels very, very like Grindhouse 70s. I mean, style-wise, not like theme-wise, but style-wise, it feels like a Grindhouse 70s movie. Like I'm going to a double feature of some sort. But funny enough, the movie actually takes place in 1995. I don't know why exactly we need to know that information. I guess to set up the fact that this is why these kids don't have cell phones, or why, you know, parents are calling on old school phones, or why certain toys are the way they are, why we have, you know, this weird copyright-free cartoon playing in the background. I don't know. But the point is, it feels like the 70s, but it's set in 95. Because it's very grainy, it's very washed out. So our first camera angle is literally the one when they're on the floor. It's basically on the floor pointing at a doorway, and we hear the little feet coming around, and it's Kaylee, you know, looking for her dad. And we see a light come on, we see her little feet walk by, and she opens the door, and she's like, Dad, where are you? Now, I don't know where Dad exactly is or what's going on, why she couldn't find Dad, but apparently she couldn't find Dad right there. But while she's looking, she sees Kevin sitting on the floor, and he's playing with his little tape recorder, and he's winding that shit up back and forth, just being creepy, just being a cute little creepy kid. You know how kids are in horror movies, just gotta be creepy for no fucking reason, just to be creepy. But, oh shit. While he's sitting on the floor playing with this thing, eventually, you know, they get up, take a look around, can't really find Dad anywhere, so they decide to turn in for the night, go to sleep. Again, I don't know where Dad's at. He could be in the fucking bedroom for all I know, sleeping it off, and they just didn't bother to check in there. Or he could not have been there. I don't know. Again, there's a lot of this movie we don't know. But after that, we then cut to I'm assuming the next morning or the next day, because now it's daytime. Now it's fucking daytime. We literally just, you know, see a bunch of, they're not Legos, by the way. They're like knockoff Legos. They're not Legos, though. I recognize some of the building blocks they have. I had some as a child around the 90s. They're not Legos. They're like Megaplexes or something like that. I can't remember. It's been a long, long fucking time since I played with building blocks that weren't Legos, to be honest. But there were some. They're like cheap knockoff brand, you know. Like, you know, Legos have always been expensive. Legos have always been fucking expensive, you know. Fucking Eric could tell me, oh, no, you can buy like $100, you know, back in the day. Yeah, back in the day. But that was still like $20 when you could spend $5 on builder blocks that were bigger and you didn't step on. You just kicked over, and it was easy to clean up. And again, you didn't have to worry about the Lego death trap. $20 to $5. Kind of a hard sell there. But they're not Legos, they're something else, but I just figured I'll point that out because everyone keeps calling them Legos. I'm being that little anal nerd right there. It's just they're not Legos, actually. But we see the building blocks I'm going to call them Legos, even though they're not fucking Legos. We see them get thrown on the ground. And we pan up from the floor where the Legos are at, and we pan up over to the door that's open, and it's nothing but fucking darkness. And we'll get a lot of that throughout this whole movie. It's just some weird pans to darkness. Nothing's really going on, but it's just darkness. Feel the tension. Feel the evilness. And trust me, I felt it at some point, especially when it starts getting silent and there's no lights in that house whatsoever. At one point, I looked over at my boyfriend. I was like, baby, I'm scared for these kids. And I don't say that lightly either. I got scared for these kids. But after we, pan over to the old darkness and, pan over to the door in darkness, nothing but the TV is playing around in the background at this point. And I was noticing something throughout this movie. The only audio cues we got besides people talking and some weird sound effects is a fucking cartoon playing in the background. But if you pay attention to this particular audio clip here, it sounds like an old romantic movie from like the 50s. I'm not gonna lie, it sounds like an old romantic movie from the 50s, like Casablanca or something. Just listening to the musical cues in the movie playing, it sounds like something an adult would watch, not a child. But I could be wrong, just jumping the gun on this, but it does sound like, the dad was maybe watching television or something. But after, he turns the TV off, everyone goes to bed, we get like these weird angles of just looking at someone's bedroom, looking at the edge of someone's bed, looking on the floor, we're looking at the toys, and we're just basically looking around the house, noticing that it's dead fucking quiet, and there's nobody else in this house, and everybody's asleep, except for one person. We then have a little camera angle from downstairs, and we look up towards the ceiling, we pan over, back, and then we hear little footsteps. Sounds like somebody's out walking around. It's little Kevin doing little Kevin things. We see little Kevin go into the closet. For some fucked up reason, the little son of a bitch decided to knock all the blankets out of the closet for some stupid ass reason. I'm not gonna lie. That kind of irked me. I was like, who the fuck does that? Even with sleepwalking, who the fuck just fuck this closet and just takes everything out of it? Like, that's a lot of mess to clean up so early in the goddamn morning. But we see him, go into the closet, knock some shit down. We hear like the eerie silenceness, the darkness just everywhere as we pan, back into whatever the hell's going on upstairs. And then we get to this point where we see Kevin on top of the stairs. And as he's on top of the stairs, he's whispering, "Are you hiding?" And, of course, we get that kind of weird angle from the darkness. So I'm assuming he's talking to whatever, that demonic entity or whatever. I don't know what it has convinced him to do, but it's convinced him to get upstairs and then tumble down it. Because this is what ends up happening next. So after, he asks, "Are you hiding?" We hear Kevin count to 3. And as soon as he said 3, we just hear this tumble. Just like this big-ass tumble down the stairs, and then dead fucking silence, man. Dead silence. And then we hear the fucking sounds. I mean, like, god-awful, like, my mother instincts kicked in for me. Scream of this child. Because he fell down and hurt himself. And I mean, it's like a wail. I'm not talking about just like... No, I'm talking about like a murderous scream. Like, it sent shivers down my spine. But again, I'm very, anal when it comes to, children's safety and shit. Like, I don't like to see children hurt. I don't see how some of these sons of bitches bounced off the fucking floor, did backflips and shit, and then scraped their knees, and then cry about it. See, back in my day when I was a kid, we didn't cry about it even after we scraped our fucking knees. Yeah. And that's something about these kids, though. They don't cry very easily. They really don't. Like throughout all this bullshit, not once do they actually just cry for mommy or daddy. They don't throw tantrums. They don't, tell it to go away. They're very calm. But they're very confused because, again, it sets up to the fact that they're 3 and 4 years old. They're not quite understanding what's going on. So, they don't really know how to react to this reaction. They just know something's happening and they got to deal with it. But after he falls down the stairs and, we hear him wailing in the background, we basically hear Dad turn on the lights, go downstairs, take Kevin to a car, and then drive off, in the middle of the night, probably to go to the hospital, make sure he's okay. And then we come to a moment where yet again, it's fucking darkness. And we pan over to the fucking television, and then it gets flipped on, and it's the damn cartoon we hear throughout the rest of the movie. And the cartoon, I actually have the name written down somewhere. It's actually a public domain cartoon, funny enough. I think it's called Presto Changeo. It seems cute. I'm not gonna lie, it seems really, really cute. The whole premise of it looks like a dog is chasing after a bunny or some bullshit, and of course the bunny's like Bugs Bunny, so he's always getting out of weird fucking shit by like being tricky and magic tricks and shit. But starts playing, but unfortunately we're too zoomed in, too close to the fucking television to see what it is. So it's nothing but a white screen, and then it cuts off, and we pan over to the door, and of course we get this whole thing where the lights come on. We hear Dad, walking around the house. And Dad goes and checks on Kaylee. There's nothing that, she doesn't answer, so he just assumes she's asleep. Goes into his room, calls Mom. He explains to Mom that Kevin, he's fine. He fell down the stairs. He hit his head. They didn't need no stitches. But Kaylee said he was sleepwalking. Which, could explain a lot, especially demonic entities and shit. Let me rephrase that. The demonic entities could explain the sleepwalking. But that's basically the only tidbit information we get from Dad, and any kind of information we get about Mom, or recognition we have of Mom. Because we get a little information later on, but it ain't coming from Mom herself. It's just the kids don't want to talk about Mom. So you just got to assume because the kids don't want to talk about her, something's definitely going on between Mom and Dad. But once they get done with that, we then pan around yet again around this dark, empty house and at weird little angles and shit. So then later on that night, we just now pop in on a little nightlight that's in the hallway. And we hear somebody in the bathroom. And when you know, it's little Kaylee. She's just going to the bathroom, doing her own thing. And she goes, like she did in the beginning of the movie, to go check on Dad, check on Kevin. And yet again, she can't find Dad. She's like, Dad? And no Dad. No Dad whatsoever. So she goes and wakes Kevin up. And then when they walk out, they see there's no windows. The windows are magically gone. There's no windows whatsoever. And of course we get this whole thing where we get a sense of there was a window there, now there's not. And as these kids are walking around the house, looking for Dad, we see several other windows not there. We see the door do the same thing the first window did. We see blinds, but yet no windows. And we actually hear the kids, fucking with the blinds. They even ask, where did they go? What happened to the windows? Like, seriously, how do you explain that one? We had windows, and now they're gone windows. And now we have no doors. What the hell is happening? These poor kids, man. Like, seriously, these poor fucking kids. So, they do the only smart thing, they probably were ever taught, growing up is, hey, when you sense danger, when you sense trouble, call the police. So you actually hear them call the police. Like, we get this angle where it's like we see the phone and we hear Kevin dial 911. Like, we actually hear 911. We hear it. And it's just this like obnoxious humming sound. It ain't like anything on there. It's not like it's a dead ringer. It's just this obnoxious humming sound. And as he keeps trying and hanging up, nothing's working. So he ends up dropping the phone. And the sister looks at him and just simply just says, "Hey, can we sleep in the living room tonight?" And so they do. They get a little blanket fort going on. They get the little cartoon playing. They cuddle up together. And this is when we have one of the cutest. I'm talking about like the cutest moment ever. Like this is something I wish as a parent I can see. You know, just my two kids being super cute and shit. But they're sitting there and they're watching the TV. And then, like I said, there's no regular camera angle. So we're looking at the back of the fucking sofa. But we hear, you know, Kaylee just go, "Kevin, love you." And you hear a little silence, and then you hear Kevin, "Love you too." Like, it was so cute. It's just so cute. I'm gonna be honest. It was just super fucking cute, man. And that's when I knew these actors, these kids weren't just good actors. These are also real life kids. That's literally the moment I realized these were real life kids, not just fucking professional actors. But as they're getting ready to go to sleep, she says, "Hey, can you turn off the light?" And, you know, they agree. Because, again, at this point, they don't know what kind of fuck shit they're in. They don't know the trouble they're in. So they just, all right, we'll turn off the light, go to sleep. We'll try to figure this out in the morning. So literally the next, I'm assuming day, because we don't know what time it is, day or night time. But Kaylee wakes up first and tells Kevin that, "Hey, I think it's time to wake up. Let's get something to eat." So they go in the kitchen, they get some mini wheats, they color, you know, they just doing whatever kids do to waste some time. And she needs to go to the bathroom, so they decide, you know, so she decides, you know, "Hey, I can go upstairs, go pee, you know, no big deal," you know, because they've done it thousands of times before. What's going to be the difference this time? So as she goes upstairs, again, it's fucking dark as shit up there. But she sees her little nightlight that they had in the hallway originally, you know, that we saw like a couple of scenes back. It's now on the floor. So, you know, they turn the light on and they look, you know, she looks down. We get this little nice POV shot of her walking up the stairs, looking down, seeing the light, looking at the outlet, looking back at the light, and then looking towards her parents' room. And you see her parents' door is now open, and there's toys, like the little Lego box and stuff, just sprawled out all over the floor. And so she cracks it open, you know, "Dad, hello? Just, you know, Dad, where are you?" Nothing. Just nothing. Just darkness and fucking toys everywhere. So she plugs up the nightlight, finishes her business, goes back downstairs, turns the lights off, and then when you fucking know, the fucking the little nightlight is supposed to protect us from all the evil and darkness of the world, just gets ripped out of the wall and goes flying across the room. Just bloop. That's some bullshit. But that is the demon taking comfort. And you'll notice that as the movie progresses, smaller and smaller things start getting taken away. You know, the amount of space they use, and I'll explain that later. They start losing their lights. They start losing their toys. They start losing each other. Like, whatever the fuck this thing is, it wants to break them down. And it broke down Kaylee a lot easier than it did Kevin. But Kaylee's also the younger one of the bunch, too. So I'm sure it didn't really take much, especially since what she went through. Like, I'm sorry to Kevin. Like, Kevin went through some fuck shit. I'm not gonna lie. Like, Kevin got, like, the piss into that goddamn stick. But Kaylee also got fucked over, too. And yet again, guys, I will reiterate, 3 and 4 years old. They are children. Innocent children. So, we literally see the next scene. The kids are downstairs in the living room coloring, you know, doing their normal thing, you know, trying to make the most of whatever's going on. They got a light going on in another room. And we just see this light go out. Oh, of course, the kids, you know, get curious, so they get up, go over there to go check it out. And we just see the back of the kids, you know, walk into this darkness. We hear the click, 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 click of the, you know, them doing the light switch. Ain't nothing working. Now, we all know that light was just working. And we all know that light switch should have been working. But it ain't. So they're like, fuck it. They leave the room, don't ask questions. They sit back down, you hear them start coloring again. I'm like, good on you, kids. Fuck that evilness. Pretend it don't exist. That works. That definitely helps. But, they continue back their coloring and eventually end up going back to sleep. And then Kaylee wakes up at some point. She's standing in front of this dark-ass hallway, just staring into it, and then asks, why is Mom crying? Which, I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't tell if she was actually hearing something cry or if it was the cartoon going on in the background. I really couldn't tell because between the cartoon and the weird whisperings, it's really hard to distinguish sometimes what we're actually hearing, which adds a bit of a different atmosphere to this movie compared to, say, like something like Halloween or something where we know the score by heart. Like, we hear dun 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 dun, we all know that's fucking Halloween right there. Like, we don't even need to hear the rest of it to know that's fucking Halloween. This, on the other hand, not so much. You know, we gotta go by other different cues and shit. So, in the end, it was really hard to distinguish. So, I don't know if she heard anything or not, but I'm gonna assume she did because this thing is definitely fucking with her. But, why she asked that. We then cut to another part after panning over, throughout the room. Look at the ceiling fan. Look, here's some more of the toys. Here's another edge of the corner of the TV. Oh, back to the darkness in the hallway. Okay. We then get the kids, or Kaylee asks Kevin, why hasn't anyone come yet? He replies, I don't know. And that's a good thing. That's the point when they're starting to realize something's not right here. It's been a couple. Like, granted, though, windows and doors are already fucking missing. Kids should already be asking questions, but again, 3 and 4 years old. So now it's been like maybe a few days at this point that no one's come and checked on them. So yeah, they're going to be asking and questioning, hey, where is everybody? How come nobody's come here yet? But he replies with, I don't know. And then they hear something going on in the kitchen, so they decide to go check it out. And when they walk in, we just see their little feet just stop dead at the fucking doorway to the kitchen. And then we cut to the ceiling, and there's a fucking chair just upside down on the ceiling, just hanging out, doing its own thing. Whatever chairs do on the ceiling, there it is. And the kids had the best reaction to this shit ever. Like, the best reaction. Just not a word, not a fucking word is said between them except Kaylee, who looks at her brother and goes, I think we should be more quieter now. And these kids, they know something's up. They just don't know how to react to it. I just love that. I think we should be quieter now. Like, that's the best way to deal with a fucking chair on the ceiling. Let's just pretend we don't see it or hear it. Maybe we act like we're invisible. It can't hurt us. So then they're back in front of the television. They're cuddling and everything. And she asks, where do you think Dad's at? And Kevin replies, I don't know. Then she asks, maybe he went with Mom? And then Kevin replies with, I don't want to talk about Mom. Goes back to that thing I was saying about I'm pretty sure they're getting divorced and that's why he doesn't want to talk about it, because Mom's done something that Mom's probably the one that had the conversation with the kids, so she probably came off as quote unquote the bad guy, even though in divorces there never should be a bad guy, especially if it's an honorable divorce. They both agree, hey, we loved each other, we're now like 2 different people 10 years later. You're not the same person I want to be with. Divorce, we'll share custody, we'll do this, we'll do that, as long as it's good. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say every divorce is like that, but I wish every divorce was like that. Most divorces end in, like, bloodbath, tears, and people just wanting money. Or kids. Or both. But, again, they don't want to talk, he doesn't want to talk about it. So, again, that's why I'm assuming she's probably, you know, the whole, he blames her in some aspects. You know, you're the one that told us we're getting divorced. You're the one that probably said let's get a divorce, when it probably could have just been the opposite. You know, it was dad wanted the divorce. Maybe dad, you know, fell out of love or had an affair, or maybe vice versa. I mean, who the fuck knows? This is one of those informations we don't get any kind of knowledge on. It's up to us to assume and interpretate, and this is how I'm interpreting it. Clearly, I could be wrong, I could be right. Nobody knows. The only person that knows is the director of this film, which I really should have sent him a message. I really should have asked him some questions since he was on YouTube. But I'm sure his inbox is probably like chock full of fucking messages going, oh my god, I loved your movie, or oh my god, I hate your movie, or some bullshit like that. So it probably would have been lost in the wind. But the point is, that would have been nice. That really would have been nice. But after that, Kevin's got to go to the bathroom now. But Kevin don't want to go upstairs after the nightlight incident I'm sure Kaylee told him about. So Kevin goes to use the downstairs toilet, which literally only has a sink and a little toilet in it. Well, let me phrase that. It did have a little toilet in it. I don't even know what the fuck I was trying to say there. It did, though. It did. Kevin goes in there, comes back and goes, Kaylee, come check this out. So they go in there, in there, and you see that there's no fucking toilet. The motherfucking demonic entity has to fuck with them in so many aspects to make them go upstairs that he took the fucking toilet. I don't know about y'all, but a toilet is a comforting thing to me, okay? I know for me personally, okay, the bathroom is one of the safest places I ever feel. You know, bathroom is the only place you can get alone. Yeah, bathroom is the only place where you can cry in peace. The bathroom is the only place where you can contemplate murder and not be judged. What, nobody else does the last one? It's just me, just sitting in the shower going, damn it, I really should have just took that knife and stabbed my boss today. That should have been it. Say that shit out loud, no one's there to judge you. The point is, the bathroom is a safe place. The bathroom is a sanctuary for a lot of people. Not these kids, though. Not these fucking kids. It's like a traumatic nightmare for them. They can't even go to the fucking bathroom. So, poor little darlings. They can't use the bathroom. The toilet's magically gone, so they gotta go upstairs now. And they're terrified of upstairs. And that's the whole point why the demon's being an asshole and stole the fucking toilet, to make them go upstairs. So, you know, I'm assuming hold hands. Again, we can't see the kids, but I'm assuming as little cute kids, they're holding each other's hands as they're going up those stairs to go to the bathroom. And, you know, Kevin walks in there, and he does his little business, and Kaylee's looking around. Cause they got a little flashlight, by the way. They got a little flashlight to help them walk around that they got from the basement. Because, you know, what else are you supposed to do, to be honest? What else are you supposed to fucking do? Like, walk around in nothing but darkness? The kids are being smart here. Which I appreciate that. They're not dumb kids. They're smart kids. They're just confused about the situation, which adds a realisticness to these kids. That they feel real. They're not just acting. Like, you've seen kid actors before. We've all seen kid actors where they're just kids who act. They're not acting like kids. These kids are acting like kids. Smart kids, too, not dumb kids. Even though they're 3 and 4 years old, they're acting like smart kids. Getting a flashlight, trying to call the police. Actually asking questions like, where the fuck are the parents at? Where is anybody? But, you know, like little Kevin's upstairs and he's doing his business, Kaylee's looking around. She's going into, I'm assuming, the parents' room, or one of her rooms. I don't know which room she goes in. It's one of the bedrooms, I can tell you that. And of course, this bedroom, like every other fucking bedroom in this goddamn house, just toys sprawled out everywhere. On the floor, on the bed. She's panning around, and we pan on the bed, and we pan upwards towards the bookshelf, and then pan back up to the ceiling. And as we're panning over the ceiling, we see this doll. I'm assuming it's the same doll that was on the bed that we saw originally when she came in. But there's a Barbie doll just on the ceiling, just chilling there, minding its own business, doing, you know, Barbie doll things. Same thing like the chair. Just doing his own damn thing. And then we get this like little jump scare of Kaylee just kind of freaking out a little bit. She drops the flashlight. And, you hear Kevin, I guess, coming in. I'm assuming Kevin came in, probably touched her on the shoulder or something, startled her. And she's just like, it's just toys. It's just toys. And she looks at Kevin, and Kevin's just like, I'm too scared to go. Like, he was just so scared. Like, oh, poor little buddy. It just, I'm going to be honest, guys, it broke my heart when he said that. When he was just like, I'm too scared to go. Like, just come here, child. Just come here, and I will take care of you. Fuck this demonic entity. Oh my God, fuck it. Just fuck it. It's evil. It evilly needs to die, okay? It's evil and it needs to die. But he's so scared to go to the bathroom, and they're so scared to come back upstairs. They decide, fuck it, they're gonna pee and shit in toilets. And that's what they do. In the next scene, it literally shows them sliding buckets into the bathroom with the toilet's not there anymore. I'm like, good on you, kids. Fuck that demonic entity. He stole your toilet. Now he's making it so you are too scared to go pee. Fuck this guy. At least they're not peeing on themselves or peeing in a corner or in a plant. Oh, those poor kids, though. Like, I'm serious, guys. Like, that broke my heart when he was just like, I'm too scared to pee. Like, poor little buddy. Poor little buddy. And then after that, back in front of the TV, and they're sitting there chit-chatting and stuff, and he asked her, and Kevin asked Kaylee, hey, did you see anything weird upstairs? Of course, she doesn't answer. She doesn't really know how to answer. She's like, weird how? Define weird. Please give me an explanation. What do you mean weird? They probably don't even know what the word weird means. They probably just heard, maybe mom and dad say it. You just, oh, well, that's just weird, honey. In that kind of aspects. They don't really know what the word weird means. So, again, it makes sense that she wouldn't know how to describe that. Like, she'd be like, I don't know. Like, what do you mean weird? But they decide to, play with, more Legos, not talk about whatever happened upstairs, and then go to bed. We then wake up, or we as the audience coming in while the kids are asleep, are now once again staring into the darkness of the fucking hallway, yet again, staring into the darkness of this kitchen, yet again, and then staring at the ceiling, the floor, the wall, the corners, all different types of angles as we're spreading around this room, because again, we can't have a normal angle here. We hear some shuffling going on upstairs, and we hear, what sounds like, someone walking around, because you'll notice that there's, like, carpet all over the house, and it has a certain sound when they walk on it, kind of like a soft crunch, if that makes any kind of sense whatsoever, just a soft crunch. But you can tell someone's walking around, and Kaylee hears someone call her name. It's a dark, deep whisper that just goes, Kaylee. And, she's standing in front of the hallway looking into this darkness, and it tells her to come upstairs. Now, this is like a very weird fucking scene. This is where Kaylee gets traumatized. So she goes upstairs because, something said come upstairs. Somebody else is in this house now, and it sound like her mom or dad or something. But because it's whispering, she doesn't know, so she goes upstairs to investigate. And as she's walking up there, we see her go to the parents' room. And again, we're all in the perspective. At this point, we're in the POV of her. So we get to see her, walk up all these stairs and open the door and push it open. And then we see Dad just sitting on the fucking edge, staring at a wall. And she's like, Dad? Dad doesn't say anything. The man doesn't say nothing. She walks in, comes around, and Dad's still just staring at the wall. Doesn't look at her, doesn't acknowledge her fucking presence. But she's like, Dad? And in a low little whisper, he says, check under the bed. Everything in my body was screaming at this child to run, like, honey, no, don't do it. Don't fucking do it. But she does it anyway because, Dad told her to. So she looks underneath there and there's nothing. And I'm just like, oh, God. You're going to make her check again. When she checks again. Nothing. But that second time when she pops up, her dad's missing. But her mom is now sitting on the other side of the bed facing the fucking wall. again, we don't get to see the perspective of these people's faces, like at all. I think the only perspective we get is for half a millisecond. We get to see the side of Kevin's face near the end of the movie. Other than that, we don't get to see anybody's faces. But she can't see anything. She says that, so she pops up, sees Mom on the other side of the fucking bed, and all we hear from Mom is go, "Kaylee, your father," and then we hear like this weird noise that distracts us, and we pan over to the fucking bedroom door, the television closet area. Nothing. We pan back to the mom again. And by the way, these pans are very slow pans. I mean, like snail pace slow pans. These ain't just like pan left, pan right, pan left. No, these are like slow pans. Okay, so it takes a minute. This is why this movie's almost 2 hours long. It takes a fucking minute for a slow pan angle. But once we hear that loud noise, we pan back to the mom. We hear it go, "We love you and Kevin very much. Kaylee." By the way, also, when she says this, when this demonic entity speaks or uses someone or conduit to speak, it speaks very, very slow as well. It takes its time to enunciate everything it wants to say. Like, it's not like me who just rambles and rambles and rambles. Like, seriously, if I was a ghost, I'll be easy to find. This guy, on the other hand, not so much. But it takes its time to say the sentence, but it says, "Kaylee, I need you to close your eyes, please." And so she does, so she, we get the little black, like she's actually closing her eyes, and she opens them, and her mom's gone. Everything's just gone. Nobody's there. She's staying in this room by herself. She's looking around, back to where Dad was, back to where Mom was. We hear just like soft, muffled crying coming from the closet. Behind that, there's some fucking whispering coming from the closet. And then we hear someone that's not the mom, but it's not this demonic entity either. It's some other woman's voice. It could be the mom's voice, or just the conduit, or just the voice conduit that he's using. But you hear it say, "There's someone here." And then as the mom, it says, "Kaylee, go back downstairs, okay?" And Kaylee doesn't move. Kaylee's still just frozen, staring at this fucking closet. And we hear, as the subtitles described it, bone crackling noises. By the way, I had subtitles running on this back in the movie just so I could hear certain parts of this conversation. And I learned a fun little tidbit about some extra audio or audio I really couldn't hear because they were whispering half this fucking shit. It's mainly the police call. I learned so much about that police call watching it with the subtitles on. But, after it asks her to go downstairs, we hear a bone crackling noise, and we hear like this weird scream to an abrupt cut, if that makes any sense. It's like, ah! And then like an abrupt cut. But as that's happening, we see a hand come out of the closet and like slam onto the wall or something. I'm assuming that's the sound of the bang we hear when we abruptly cut. But after all that bullshit, Kaylee comes back downstairs, quiet as ever. And basically, Kevin's just like, "Hey, where you been at? Hey, what happened? Where'd you go?" She doesn't want to talk about it, and she puts the cartoon back on, and the cartoon is of, I want to say it's a fly. I could be wrong, but it's like a fly in a web, and it's stuck in the web, and it makes me think this is like the demonic entities making these kids get stuck, like they're stuck in this web of bullshit, which is the house. They're stuck in this goddamn house to suffer. They fucking suffer, like he's got her or something. But once, she gets the cartoon going, she looks at Kevin and asks him, "Hey, can you help me move the couch?" And he's, okay, sure. And so they move the couch and basically barricade themselves into the living room. She was that scared. She was literally that scared. Whatever the hell happened after that abrupt cut, she was that scared that she came downstairs and asked her brother to barricade the door so it couldn't get her. That's gotta be terrifying to a child, by the way. Just think about that. You think you're safe in your own home. You're safe and sound. Nothing can harm you. And, like, now you're stuck in this house that's supposed to be your sanctuary. And there's something in this room that wants you dead. And that's going to torment you until you're dead. But at this point in the movie, none of the lights are working now. Like, all the lights are out. The night light, he's done taking the night light. All the lights aren't working. All we have now is just the television light. And the occasional flashlight that Kevin has when walking around. So Kevin goes to the kitchen, and this is another little cute thing. This is just another little cute moment. Kids just being kids, you know. He sees that she's distressed. He sees that she's upset about whatever the fuck happened upstairs. So he goes into the kitchen, he grabs her a juice, and comes back, and you just hear him just, Kaylee, I got you a juice. And it's just like, oh, it's the sweetness and innocence of children. I'm not gonna lie, just that sweetness and innocentness of children. Just, I got you some juice. Oh, because kids just know how to make me feel better. They really do. Because I can picture a kid doing that to me. Just, I'm upset, and this kid's just, what? Hell, I can't just picture it. I've seen it. My little sister did that to me. I'll be upset, be in the living room, just, upset as hell. And she'd come in, I got you a juice. She would hand me like a Coke. Or one time she handed me one of her apple juices. I remember that. I was in her room, and I was upset about something. I can't remember what the fuck I was upset. I think I was arguing with my ex at the time. I was upset, and I was sitting on the edge of her bed, and she's watching some I think it was Rio or something. I can't remember. She's watching some Disney movie. And I just see her just get up, go all the way to the kitchen, come back with 2 little juice boxes. I'm like, what you gonna do with 2 juice boxes? Huh? You already drank one before you walked in? She was like, no, I got you a juice box. She handed me a little juice box, and I was just like, oh, you're too good for this world. You're too precious. Like, she really was. She really is. She's still too precious for this world. She's still too precious. I love my sister. But, that was just one of those moments that really just touched my heart. I really, again, kids, not kid actors, just kids being kids. It felt like kids just being kids. He felt something was wrong with his sister, so he got her a juice. And he even asked her, like I said, he even asked her, what happened upstairs? She doesn't want to talk about it. And I can kind of get it. I mean, how else do you explain this to your brother? How do you explain this to anybody? I thought I saw mom and dad, and then they disappeared, and something yelled at me and came out of the closet. Like, how do you explain this? Like, seriously, how do you explain that? So, later on that night, they could go back to sleep, and we hear, heavy breathing coming from the darkness of the hallway where they barricaded everything. And we just hear someone call out for Kaylee. We hear somebody walking, and there's Kaylee standing in front of the hallway yet again, like before. Come upstairs, Kaylee. Remember what happened last time? But as soon as it calls her name, we don't see her again. She disappears. She's gone. Kevin wakes up, and he can't find her, so he starts looking around. He's got his little flashlight. He can't find her, so he ends up going to the bathroom, doing what he's got to do. And just, what else are you supposed to do? Like, your sister just went up missing. She went upstairs and then came back, won't talk about what was going on, and then she went missing. Like, do you continue looking for her in this fuck shit of a house, or do you just wait for her to come back? Like, nobody knows. So he goes back to the living room, lays down, goes to sleep. And we pan over to the Legos in front of the television. And we start panning around to the toys. And we notice that the toys all suddenly starting to move. Like something's coming in and moving all the toys. And we've seen this, throughout upstairs. The toys are all spread around. So down here, it starts happening. And they start just sticking to the wall. Like, whatever this demonic entity is doing, he's like Velcro, just right against the wall. No problems. He's trying to clean up. And because of this ruckus, it wakes Kevin up. And then Kevin hears somebody tell him, go down to the basement. Hey, Josie, how's it going? So, Kevin, being 4 years old, yet again, not sure what the hell is going on, getting told, hey, come down to the basement, he decides, well, fuck it, let's go down to the basement. So the little buddy grabs a little flashlight, goes all the way down to the basement. We see this, of course, his POV shot. And, see what's sticking on the wall. Oh, that's a picture of the movie I'm talking about right now. It's called Skinamarink. Really good horror movie on Shudder. But Kevin, like I said, he goes all the way downstairs and he is doing his own little thing. And while he's down there, you hear Kaylee. And her exact words are, Kevin, I'm scared. I feel strange. And as the camera, pans through the darkness and shit, we see Kaylee kind of sitting down Indian style on the floor. And we kind of linger on that for a second. And then we get like this quick jump scare to Kaylee. And we actually kind of see her face for like half a millisecond. And she's got no mouth. And something's fucked up with her eyes. Now try to imagine that. And keep in mind, she's 3 years old. She's 3 years fucking old. Yet again, man. She's 3 years old. So I'm sure that traumatized this poor little Kevin. Poor little Kevin's just like, I seen some fuck shit, and that's some fuck shit right there. So Kevin, being scared shitless, runs back upstairs. And you can hear him too. Like I said, guys, the camera angles are all over the place. So we get this camera angle where we're facing the darkness through the hallway, and you just hear him run up those stairs, heavy, fast footsteps, breathing heavy. And then while he's panicking, you hear the fucking cartoon going again in the background. And you hear rattling going on in the kitchen. And of course, Kevin just kind of standing there, and you hear something call his name yet again. Kevin, all in whisper form. And Kevin being cute as ever. Just, hello? Oh, he's just so cute. I will say it again. He's so cute. Little 4-year-old, just adorable. But now I ain't gonna be honest, guys. This is where it kind of gets a little disturbing. I'm not gonna lie. This is where it gets a little disturbing. This was the scene that kind of disturbed me a little bit. But after, Kevin says hello, the demonic entity speaks to him and says, sleep. And Kevin hits the ground, just on the ground, juice out of his hands, passes out. And yet again, we hear that fucking cartoon, Presto Cleanzo. Oh god, what was the hell name of this damn cartoon again? Presto Changeo. Yeah, that thing. It gets stuck on repeat several times, especially this one scene, which is the dog chasing the bunny around. And at one point, it's the scene where the bunny got pulled out of the flower pot, and he's standing in front of the dog, and he makes himself disappear. Like, it's like a magic trick. And we see that repeat over and over again, which is supposed to symbolize the entities making things disappear. His comfort. Yet again, his sister's missing. There's no more lights in this fucking house. Now his toys are going missing. We see that. His toys are going missing as this scene is playing over and over again. We're just seeing his toys just vanish. And they're not even landing on the wall anymore. They're just vanishing. Like, this demonic entity is just cruel. First you take the toilet away, then you take the lights away, then you take the sister away. Now the toys. What's next, man? What's next? The blankets? The food? Asshole demonic entity, whatever the hell it is. So, while Kevin's trying to sleep through all this shit, you hear more ruckus going on in the living room now. This ain't in the hallway, this ain't in the kitchen, this is happening in the living room. And you hear this demonic entity tell Kevin, I want to play. And it's being dead serious. He ain't goofing around, he ain't just laughing, just, I want to play. Kevin don't want to play though. Kevin ain't feeling this shit. Kevin tired, okay? Kevin's been through some shit. Kevin just needs a break. And Kevin can't catch a break. Poor little 4-year-old Kevin can't catch a break. And we pan to the darkness of the kitchen and back into the hallway as that cartoon keeps playing. And we then see Kevin sitting on the floor, crisscross applesauce on the floor, minding his own business. And then we cut to the hallway, being all dark and shit. And then we hear the sound, and I shit you not, guys, of a utility knife. Yeah, and we all know that sounds like a box cutter sound. That crick, crick. That little sound we've heard. If y'all played the game Home Sweet Home, y'all would recognize that sound right off the bat. As soon as I heard that, shivers went down my spine, because all I could think about was that bitch in that game chasing after me with that damn box cutter. But you hear the knife, and then you hear the demonic entity go, Kevin, put that knife in your eye. And then we get like a quick cut of, I'm assuming, because again, it's what we don't see is what's scary, but he put the knife in his eye. And then we cut back into another room, and you can just hear Kevin screaming. Yet again, like when he fell down the stairs, screaming bloody murder. Just screaming. Hysterical. Sobbing. It broke my heart, guys. It broke my heart. Like, I was jaw on the ground. I was looking at Eric like, the fuck? Like, he did not just do this to this kid. But he did. And then we instantly, go back to the living room where we hear the screams even louder, and then it just stops. All of it just stops. Just goes quiet. And then we cut to this blood that's just dripping from the cabinet. It's not even a lot of blood either. It's not like it's gallons of blood. It's literally just like you cut your hand or something. It's just blood dripping down off the cabinet. And then of course you hear Kevin breathing heavily. And then that damn fucking cartoon starts again. And then it starts distorting because, Kevin put it back on. But because they've been watching it so damn much throughout this whole movie, it starts distorting, and then eventually it dies. It's gone. That's the last bit of light, the last bit of sound we have is gone now. And now Kevin is stuck alone in this house by himself in this darkness with this creature, demonic entity, whatever the hell it wants to be, is in this house just toying with this 4-year-old. So yet again, we pan around the house and we see nothing but dark shots. Yet again, guys, the camera angles of the weird ceiling, the ceiling lights, the fan. Oh, don't forget about the corner of the sofa. We gotta get all these weird camera angles in. And then we see the back of somebody's head. Now, I'm gonna assume it's the mom, because it looks kind of like the mom from what we saw of her in the bedroom. But yet again, guys, we don't see the face, so I can only assume it's the mom. And then Kevin wakes up after this point and decides he's going to call the police again. So he actually gets through. He calls 911. This is what the subtitles come in handy at. So he calls 911 and he proceeds to tell them, and he doesn't go into detail. The way this whole scene's set up, we don't get to hear the gruesome details. But he does make mention that he hurt himself and he feels weird. Like, he feels sick. So, again, we know for a fact he doesn't stab himself in the eye, but we don't get to see the brutality of it, which I can appreciate. This is where that fine line of horror and traumatization comes in at. This movie is disturbingly horrific because of the fact that we're dealing with this 3 and 4-year-old going through this bullshit. We literally just heard this 4-year-old stab himself in the eye. That's disturbing. I'm not gonna lie. That's disturbing to me. Just because I can only imagine what is going through this poor kid's head. Like, as a 4-year-old, what is going through your head during all this shit? So my heart goes for them. But what would have made it traumatizing is if we would have actually sat there and watched the kid stab himself in the eye. But no, we don't get to see that, thank God. So this is where that fine line's at, and he did a good job of not crossing that line. He didn't do it they. And this is where I compare it a lot to Mother, because Mother did a very similar thing as well, where it hit that fine line of traumatization and nice disturbing horror. And when I talk about Mother, I'll get further than that, my own reasons of why. But I did end up crying at the end of that movie, even though it was a horror movie. I ended up crying at the end of it. And when I talk about that movie at some point, I'll delve into that. But I almost felt the same emotions watching this because of, this fine ass line. But I digress. So, like I said, he calls the police and he tells them, he's done hurt himself, he's sick. And this is where he makes a mention that he's 4 years old. And now we get to hear the police officer talking to him, which really breaks my heart. Because you can hear that this police officer wants to help him. He wants to. I'm assuming it's a guy. It's kind of hard to tell if it's a guy or a girl on the other end of the phone. But, they're asking, honey, where are you? Can you tell me where you're at? Why are you whispering? Sweetheart, I need you to be a brave little boy here. Just trying to talk to him. And something ends up happening in this scene where Kevin is sitting there and he's on the phone. She's like, hello, it's sweetie, I need you to stay on the phone with me. And he just kind of drops the phone, doesn't dramatically drop it, but he's like a slow realization that help can't come. And he just drops the phone and he just goes back to sleep. He then wakes up and tries to call him again. But this time, when he goes over to the fucking phone, it's that damn stupid toy phone. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I dislike this toy phone, okay? I really dislike it because of that one jump scare near the end of this movie. I dislike it for that reason. But I dislike this toy phone, okay? But, oh yeah, something I forgot to mention on the fact when he was calling the police. He did try to explain to them the situation and explain to them that there's no doors or windows in this house. So this is why they really couldn't get any information to come help this kid out because, how do you describe this? Where are you? I'm in my house. Where are you? Downstairs. But there's no door. It just breaks my heart, guys. It really does. But, like I said, he sees that damn toy phone and then we pan over to the darkness and you hear him ask, did you do that? Asking the demonic entity, did you change the phone to the toy phone? And all you hear is just a distorting laughter. Like it's mocking him, like it's laughing at him. Like, haha, yeah, I did that. Huh, you should see the other fuck shit I can do, man. You can see some other shit. Then we cut back again. Silence, darkness. We pan over with all the weird camera angles yet again, guys. And it's just silence. It's eerie. It's tension building even. Then we hear it again. Kevin? And then as we hear the name being called, it's like a weird static noise. It's like, y'all ever left the TV on, especially back in the 90s and shit. You left the TV on and just did that weird static noise. Now, I mentioned that, but slowly cranking up to about an 11 as the seconds pass by. And it gets louder and louder, and then suddenly it stops. Kevin, asks, how did you do that? The demonic entity replies, I can do anything. Kaylee didn't do as she was told. She said she wanted her mom and dad. So I took her mouth away. That right there is fucking terrifying. That the fact that the demonic entity is not only speaking fluently to Kevin, by the way, he's speaking fluently, full-on synthesis, grammatical errors though, but full-on synthesis. But the fact that he said that he took Kaylee's mouth away, which explains the imagery we saw of her, earlier in the movie. But the fact that he did that to a 3-year-old, a child, and he's laughing about it. And that's why I don't like demonic creatures or demonic entities, anything dealing with demonic, because they're just evil motherfuckers. They're just evil, and they deserve the punishment they get in hell. And that's just why they try to get out to punish other people, because they don't want to go back to hell. Well, I'm sorry, man. That's a fucking child. They're children. So I got a personal beef and vendetta against this damn demonic entity. If I ever find this motherfucker, I'm gonna fucking skew his ass. But it tells him to come upstairs after all this bullshit. And, why, I looked at Eric, and because he was just like, why the fuck would you want to go upstairs? I looked at him and was like, what else are you supposed to do? You get told, you get punished if you don't do what the creature wants. And the demonic entity wanted him to play earlier. He said no and got stabbed in the eye. Do you risk getting more mutilated, or do you risk your life just to go upstairs and see what the fuck shit's up there? Eric's like, good point. So he goes upstairs, and we get this slow, beautiful POV shot of him going up the stairs yet again. And while he's going up the stairs, you can hear this thing go, "It's okay. I will protect you." Which in some aspects to a lot of people didn't really make sense. Like Eric didn't really get it. He's like, why would the demonic entity say that? I'm like, it's something a demonic entity does. It tries to isolate you and wear you down. And if it can make it to where you rely on him, that means it has even more power over you. So if you're already doing what it says, which means, hey, come upstairs, and you're going to come upstairs, you're feeding it more power when you trusting it to protect you. You know in the fact it's not going to, but you got to trust it because that's what it does. It's making you think, hey, I'm the only motherfucker here you can believe. Well, no shit, dude. You are the only motherfucker here I could trust because you're in control of this damn world. You're fucking with me. So, after he goes upstairs and it says all that shit, he ends up flicking on his flashlight again, and he's upside down on the ceiling now. And this poor little buddy, like, I thought this was some bullshit. Thank God the doors were open, but I thought that was bullshit. Like he could barely touch the doorknobs as is. Like, he could barely touch the door. That's why they didn't explore too much of the house. Yeah, you gotta think about it. There's little short people, they're kids. They're walking around. They can't reach doorknobs. They can't reach top shit on the shelf. God, I bet you that's what that demonic entity did. I bet you it took a lot of their shit and just put it on the top shelf and said, good luck, kiddos. Because it's that kind of a dickhead. But once he's upstairs and he's on the ceiling, he goes into his parents' room. And while he's walking, you slowly start getting the sense that he's not walking anymore. He starts kind of floating off into the abyss of nothingness, into the darkness. We literally see the fucking door in front of us just get smaller and smaller as he's floating away. And it's just like, this poor little buddy, it's just like, he can't catch a little break. He just can't catch a little break. I told him to keep going, and he I don't think he meant kept going into the abyss, but there he went, floating off into the little abyss. And then, of course, the flashlight goes out, so it's pure darkness, and all we hear is this humming, growling sound. It's very intense, very dark and brooding. And then he turns on his lights, and right in front of us is all his toys. All the toys, the tape recorder, the fucking, VHS tapes, all his toys are all piled up on the ceiling, upside down, by the way. So that gives you a visualization of what the hell we're looking at. And this is where it gets, like, super fucking weird to me. Like, I don't even know where this is coming from, what exactly this means. I'm assuming this is how many days he's been in this bullshit. But it then not pans over, but we get a title screen that fades in that says 572 days. You're telling me this poor little boy has been stuck in this fucking abyss, in this bullshit, this fucking hellish landscape for 572 days. I could only imagine what that kid went through. I literally can only imagine what that kid went through in 572 days of this bullshit. But after that, we then slow pan fade back away from the pile of the toys and shit while a cartoon is playing in the background. I can't think of the song. But while that's playing and everything fades off into the background to the darkness, we then get a scene where it looks like either Kaylee or the mom. Again, it's kind of hard to tell who it is because you just always see the back as the head. And they're sitting on the edge of the bed, and we just see them kind of fade into obscurity. If that makes sense. They kind of fade into the grain and dip out, and the only thing left is literally a lamp on the fucking bed. Like, I really don't know how to explain that, to be perfectly honest. You just fade into existence. And after, we see that, we see the fucking lamp on the bed, and it's all dark and shit. We then cut into more darkness, and we get, like, this weird gasping, like, choking sound. Like someone's gasping for air after being, like, either dunked underneath the water or choked out too hard in the bedroom. And, because after that, we didn't hear, like, coughing, like someone catching their breath and shit. And now, we then cut to the living room, and we're upside down on the ceiling, staring at the TV. And it's, again, the cartoon's going, bright fucking lights, it's distorted, it's kind of out there, it's a little unnerving, and then we get this weird, like, banging sound, and everything cuts to darkness again. And now we're in this closet. Now, this scene actually got me. Like, I was expecting something, but I was not expecting this shit. So, he's in the closet, and he's doing the classic horror movie thing where he's clicking the light on, clicking the light off, clicking the light on, clicking the light off. And as he's doing it, we see the closet, and then darkness. And then outside the closet door is open, and then darkness. And then outside the closet door, but it's closed this time. And then we cut to darkness again. But this time, when we cut to the darkness, there's two fucking eyeballs staring at you. First of all, I pissed my pants because I was not expecting that. I was expecting like a jump scare, not just a subtle pair of eyeballs staring at me. But a pair of eyeballs staring, and of course Kevin flicks on the fucking light, and guess what the hell it is? It's that motherfucking toy phone. It's that fucking toy phone. I wish I could kick the shit out of this goddamn toy phone. But then, the fucking toy phone gets an evil demonic look on his face as the phone rings, so Kevin freaks out, turns the light off, and all he gets is stuck in dead silence and looking at those damn eyeballs again. And then he clicks it on, and all we hear is whispers. And we're staring at a light from the bottom end of the stairs, and we're just looking up, and we just hear whisperings. It was very hard to distinguish what the whisperings were, but we hear whisperings. And then once that fades out, we then have a couple of moments where we're just kind of introduced to some family photos of, I'm assuming, the children, but they're not normal family photos. They're out of focus, out of frame. They're missing their heads. Simple things like that. No big deal. And then we get this weird shot of looking at the floor, but we're looking at it like we're on the floor. Okay, let me phrase this. We're on the ceiling looking at the floor, but the way the camera angles at is it looks like the floor is the ceiling and the ceiling's the floor. Does any of that make sense to anybody? Good, I hope so. If not, watch the movie. It's the best way to describe it. But we're looking at the edge of the corner of a hallway, looking at the floor, and we hear a blood-curdling scream, and then a whine, and then we get like this splash of blood as the fucking disappearing rabbit, the Presto Changeo song's playing with the repeat with the rabbit disappearing. And this is happening over and over and over again. Just scream, blood splatter, the fucking disorienting music, and it's high pitched too. And I'm gonna be honest, it disturbed me. After everything I've seen at that point, and there's all this tension build up, that scene just breaking the silence disturbed me. And I was just like about to shit a brick at that point. Now, did I shit a brick? No. But I was about to, because the tension was built up so much inside my body that when that happened, I was just like, oh my God. Fucking nearly passed the fuck out. But like I said, it keeps playing over and over and over again, and then it stops. We cut. And now we're in the living room. And we're back to normal. We're walking around. Granted, we don't have like the fucking windows and doors back, but we're back to normal. We're not on the ceiling anymore. We're not upside down. But we're watching a POV of Kevin walking towards the TV, and all you hear is, Kaylee, can we watch something happy? And then you hear the little tape get put in. We hear a little heart music, just ring, 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 just going. Sound like little angels. And then we cut over to a door. As we zoom into the door, it fades out to the darkness. And we, as we focus on the darkness, the music slowly starts fading out. And then in the midst of this darkness, after everything is settled down, it's quiet. We don't know exactly what's going on. We don't know if Kevin's okay. We don't know if Kaylee's okay. We don't know exactly what's going on. We're just sitting in this darkness, and we see. They say, and it ain't one of those like, oh, is this, could it be? No, it's a fucking face. It's legitimately a fucking face comes in through the darkness, and all you hear is, go to sleep. More dead silence, more dead quietness. What's your name? What's your name? And then that's it. That's the movie. Like, I mean, that's serious. Like, how else do you describe that last 20 minutes? I don't fucking know. Now, I don't know if this means that Kevin died. I'm going to assume the worst, to be honest. I'm really going to assume the worst and assume that when Kevin said, can we watch something a little bit happier, this was him accepting his fucking demise. He's been stuck there for 572 days, seen so much fuck shit. He's just tired. He's just tired, and he's just going to let the demon win. And because the demon won, now the demon is doing it again. The cycle continues. He goes to another little kid after a parent says go to sleep. Because we don't know who says go to sleep, by the way. But we do hear another child ask, what is your name? And that's something a child would do. You say you're going to sleep, you see a fucking face just standing in the middle of your room. You'd be like, hey, who are you? What's your name? Why are you here? What do you want? Why are you being so creepy? But that's what I'm assuming when it comes to this movie, is that this whole thing is just a demonic entity trying to wear this little boy down for whatever purposes he wants, or these children down for whatever purposes he wants, and then straight up kills them and moves on to the next person. That's how I'm taking the movie, to be perfectly honest. That's how I'm taking it. Now, like I said, there's plenty of other theories going around. There's plenty of behind the scenes things. I don't know what's true and what's not. Again, it would be really nice to get in contact with the creator of this movie and kind of ask him, his opinions on it. Hey man, what were you thinking when you made this? What was the direction? Is this correct? What theories are right? Which ones are wrong? Like, you don't have to tell us right all out the gate. You don't have to be like, yeah, no, it's definitely a demonic entity. But you could at least enlighten us a little bit, But yeah, I mean, it's a weird movie, but it's a good movie. It's a good movie. It's just very, very disturbing. And to be frank, it was disturbing to the point that it almost traumatized me, but because they did not show little Kevin stab himself in the eye, it just stayed disturbing to me. Which, I like that. Again, I like that. I like not being traumatized from my movies. I like walking out disturbed. Now, don't get me wrong. This movie ain't that scary. Alright, it's more of a tension build-up kind of movie, with the slow burn, the fact that, complete darkness, not a lot of music going on, no instrumental scores or anything. It's very tension-filled. Very, very tension-filled. So when you have like an oh shit moment or I'm gonna shit a brick moment, it's because the tension's built up that high and you're like nail-biting yourself at this point. But it's not scary in the generic sense of like a typical horror movie, It's not like the monster in the closet or the fucking serial killer or anything like that. It's literally, well, fucking artsy. It's a fucking artsy horror film. And we don't get a lot of artsy horror films, and when we do, it's either a hit or a miss. Again, you never find in-between people when it comes to these artsy horror films. You will find people that either like it or hate it. And when it comes to these artsy horror films, it depends on the slow burn. Like I said, Hereditary, that slow burn was so boring to me that I fell asleep, and it was so predictable. I literally said, I think about 20, 30 minutes to the movie, I knew exactly how it was going to end, like to a detail, which was scary. Like, Eric looked at me and said, "You sure you haven't seen this film before?" I said, "Baby, I'm 100% positive I've never seen this film before." But the only thing I got wrong was the fact that the mother was decapitated in that. Other than that, I was like, yeah, no, the son's probably going to be accept the demon's offering in front of everybody, all the people, including his mother. And boy, was I right. I was fucking right. I'm like, that's just... It was just, I saw it like a mile away, to be perfectly honest. I saw it coming a mile away. But then you got stuff like The Babadook, which I liked that to a degree. There were some boring parts, I'm not gonna lie. Mainly, it was the fact that I wanted to kill this kid. I hated that kid, I'm not gonna lie. Like, you know that scene with the kids in the back of the car screaming and the mother screams back, "Why can't you be normal?" I was literally feeling that with my soul. I was like, damn it, woman, I'm with you. Why can't this kid just be fucking normal? Like, why's he gotta be a goddamn demonic entity and scream like a motherfucker? But that still wasn't a bad movie. You got Midsummer, which is also a slow burn. But they kept enough of the pace and mysterious actions and the unrelated narrative when it came to the main character that it kept me on my toes and kept me intrigued. And then you got the fucking Lighthouse, which is the exact same thing like Midsummer, except it's just some crazy fuck shit from beginning to end. I fucking love that shit. I love the way that was filmed, the way that just... everything. I gotta talk about that movie too. Don't worry, guys. I'm gonna be talking about a lot more artsy, fartsy horror films this year. Of course, Midsummer, Babadook, Lighthouse, and Mother. We're gonna talk about that one. And you know what? Also this year, we'll probably be talking about some of the foreign horror films I've watched that a lot of people have never heard of because, again, foreign horror films. A lot of them, I will say, come from Thailand, Japan, some Chinese, and a couple of Koreans. I want to say it's either Bad Hair Day or The Red Shoes that's the Korean horror movie. But the point is, I got horror movies from around the world I would like to talk about. So it ain't just going to be these artsy films, but I will say I probably will do like an artsy, kind of artsy month, you know. Maybe do like a Lighthouse Babadook thing. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. We'll have to figure it out. I'm now thinking too far ahead of my schedule right now. I'm thinking too far fucking ahead. I got too much on my plate right now. But yeah, this is a good movie. It's disturbing to the point that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the slow burn. It was very tension-feeling, and I like slow and tension-feeling burns. I don't like the slow, boring burns like Hereditary. Like, sorry, guys, to the people who are, like, big fans of that movie. I know I talk shit on it all the time, but it's just... I'm sorry. I thought it was overhyped for nothing. I thought it was just overhyped. I feel the same way about Get Out. Like, don't get me wrong. That movie's fucking great. Like, I love that movie. But they overhyped that movie for no fucking reason. Like, they really overhyped it. They made it seem like it was going to be the scariest motherfucker in this entire planet. No, it's just a good psychological thriller. I'm not going to lie. It's a good thriller. But if y'all ever want to check it out, like I said, guys, go to Shudder. It's on there. I don't know for how long. And you're not sure about a lot of things. I'm sure there's some other YouTubers out there who probably could delve more into the aspects of this movie and maybe dive a little bit more into, you know, other theories besides, you know, it's a demonic entity just fucking with these kids. Who the hell knows? But I know we're going to wrap up a little bit early, which is fine. Especially last, like, 3 episodes? I went an hour over. I think 20 minutes early should be fine. But we're going to go ahead into this podcast here. I hope everybody who has watched is watching will watch. I hope you enjoy. I hope everybody has a fantastic and wonderful night. And as you're watching this video or podcast on whatever device, whether it be Spotify, Anchor, or whatever, please give the video a like, subscribe, and a follow, because you never know what fuck shit's going to happen. Trust me, I never know. Next week, I do want to watch Mother and talk about that. I don't know why. Since I watched Skinamarink, I really want to talk about Mother, so that should be a fun movie to discuss and delve into, because, again, it's one of those artsy horror films that's really out there, and it's not horror in the aspect of generic horror of haunted house, poltergeist, ghosts, serial killers, and stuff like that. It's a fucking out there movie, man. It's fucking out there. But we'll get there next week when we get there. But that's a story for another day. So until then, my friends, y'all take care.